this is your warm-up for today. You need to think of 4 digits to fill in these blanks. That when you calculate the slope, you would get this. So I'll let you choose whether you want to do repeats or no repeats. You can't use negatives, so you're going to be subtracting, but you can't put in like a negative sign here. So think of how you could fill out these digits, make these ordered pairs to create a slope that has negative 7/5. Compare with the people around you. I'll give you like 5 or so minutes to do that.
It can be a double-digit number, right?
No. So it has to be digits 0 through 9. So you can't use 10, because that wouldn't work.
Oh.
Yay!
That's amazing.
Cool.
Technology. Try again.
Your board is just tired.
Something like that, sure.
It's been doing nothing for 3 hours and it's bored.
I guess so. Looking for the set it shows.
I will almost talk to that.
That's just a section.
Looking for that. Okay. 3, 8. This was Louise. Okay, sure. So that one worked. And then this one was Saxon's. Minus 2 over 1.6. Even though the 5 is negative, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing, because you would move the negative. Some of you use similar numbers. This one was Haley's. 1 minus 2 over 3 minus 8. So again, we have that negative 5 in the denominator, but again, it doesn't matter, you can move it. This one was Kate's. 2 minus 9 over 6 minus 1. So we get that negative 7 over 5. This one was Zarya's. So we have 2 minus 9 over 7 minus 2. So that would work. And then 2 more. 3, 9, 8, 2. This one was Dundel's. 2 minus 9 over 8 minus 3. And then the last one. This one was K's. 1 minus 8 over 7. So, look at how many different ways, some of them very similar, like we have 1 minus 8 here, 1 minus 8 here, 9 minus 2, 2 minus 9, 8 minus 3, 3 minus 8, 8 minus 3. So we use similar numbers, but in different ways. All different ways. All right, questions on any of those? Anyone else have a last minute one they want to check? Good job on that. I have to remind myself, what time is lunch?
2.
12,
It's on my phone.
12:40 something.
10.
I know that's
Okay.
Oh, it's good.
Yes. And I don't know if they're doing 5 minutes in between, so whenever the bell rings, we're just going to go. So with these notes first, does anyone need another copy of these notes? Somewhere. Myself. I have that.
On the two.
Find the page that looks like this. Alright, so for this, linear equations are frequently written in slope-intercept form. Does anyone know what that format is?
I know B is the constant.
Y equals mx plus b. Someone said it.
Oh.
Where m we talked about last class is the slope, and b is the
Y-intercept. On the thingy today, so it was constant.
so both, but specifically it's the constant that is your y-intercept.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so this is more for writing, which we'll do not this unit but the next unit, but we'll need to be able to go back and forth. Be given a slope-intercept form and know what the slope and y-intercept is. Be given slope and y-intercept and be able to write the equation. So, for number 1, I would write this. I'm given my slope and my y-intercept as y equals whatever my slope is to put my x, and then it says plus b, but we put minus. So how would we write number 2? You can say it on.
This to x plus 4.
X is a number, right? Like, that's like,
X is going to be, if we were graphing, if we wanted to put inputs in to get out an output, that would be what X and Y are for. But it's not like your slope, it's not part of your slope. Alright, what about number 5? How would we write that one?
Y equals 1.
So you have a choice. You can either put plus 0 or leave it off. It does not matter. It's the same either way. Any other questions in that section we want to see you go over? Have questions about? Okay. We're going to skip the bottom section. Go on to the next page. Sometimes your equations are written in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. You don't really need to remember that, you just need to know that's what it looks like. But when it's in standard form, we have to convert it. So this is where our literal equations comes back into play, because we're going to be solving equations, rearranging, so that it gets back into y equals mx plus b. So we're going to be solving for y, getting y by itself. So if we were to do that in number 1, what would be our first step?
Y equals.
So how could we get it to y equals?
Oh, minus 2x.
To the other side. Now, I'm going to do 2 things. I could leave it as is for now, but eventually you would have to change it because we want it in mx plus b. So you can either change it as soon as you write it, or you can change it afterwards. It does not matter. But when you change it, whatever signs come before the numbers have to be the same. So whenever you write this, 2 was negative, so 2 has to stay negative, 3 was positive, so 3 has to stay positive. Questions on that?
Why did you reverse it?
So really, I didn't even need to write this part, but it has to be in this format. Y equals mx plus b. Okay.
What does Y stand for?
Y is just an output. So like if I were to put in an order pair, some order pair xy,
Yeah.
it would give me some input and some output. That's really all it is for.
Oh, this one doesn't have the one.
So for number 2, what would be our first step?
Get rid of 4x.
Y equals
Get rid of it by doing what?
By subtracting 4x.
Subtract 4x to the other side. I'm going to go ahead and switch these now so I don't have to do it later. And then to get y by itself?
divided by 5.
Yes. but divide everything separately. So when you do this, the y-intercept can be a decimal fraction, whole number, it doesn't matter. The slope has to be a fraction. It has to keep that ratio, the rise over run. So if it cannot be simplified, you just write it as is.
But if it can, you simplify.
Correct. Other questions on that one? Right. Number 3. Oh, we start that one.
Get rid of the x by subtracting x from the third y.
Subtract it on both sides, yes?
Yes.
I'm going to rearrange. Negative 3y equals negative x plus 12.
And then you're going to divide the 3y, everything.
What would that be when we divide everything by negative 3?
Anything that's meant to be y equals x divided by 3 minus 4.
So x divided by 3 or 1/3 x, either or.
And
You can write it either way.
Look at me go.
Questions on that one? We're going to do just a couple more, and then I'll let you try some. Oh, that's okay. Number 5. What's the first step?
Subtract 4x.
Subtract 4x. So we have negative y equals, you can either leave the 0 or put it, don't put it or put it, either or, doesn't matter.
Does the y have to equal a positive, so we would divide it by like -1? Correct. Okay.
So not that it has to equal a positive, but right now it's not by itself, so we gotta get it by itself. So if you put the plus 0, you would also be dividing that by -1. So you can either have y equals 4x or y equals 4x plus 0. Either or, doesn't matter. Questions on that one?
You multiply by 1, not divide by 1.
So here, since these are already multiplying, you would divide. All right, last one we're going to do together, number 7. What would be that first step? Add 6x. So it's always going to be opposite.
She's already.
Well, thanks. But I got to do what everyone says. So we said add. So this is the only difference. If it's a negative, you have to add first, but everything else is the same. So when we divide everything by 4, what would our y equals equation become?
6/4 x plus 5.
Simplify.
Y equals 3.
And you have plus x plus 5. You have to simplify always.
Yeah.
But that was the
Why
crap.
did it not make it 20, 26, 26?
So we can't combine these, they're not one.
Okay.
Number, what? Yes. Try number 6. If you finish that, raise your hand up and check it. If you finish that with enough time, try 6 and 8.
Oh my goodness gracious.
It was on my own right here.
Ladies, thumbs up.
Does your class feel empty in this dorm? There's only 2 people not here.
You're serious?
It's because there's like 2. Well, it's always one class is so small. Oh, and that's so already so yes, they are. Well, she wasn't there when I said only 20 of you. Now there's only 20 of you.
Here is the work for number 6. Did we have questions on that or 4 or 8? Today. Okay, there is a bunch of words that you guys need to write down, so I'll let you write stuff down and I'll talk through it. Don't feel like you need to write down every single word, but write down what you feel.
I have to write down every single word. I can't. It's gonna bother me.
Okay, do you? Alright, the definition of intercepts. For the x-intercept, graphically, the point or points where the graph crosses, touches, or intersects the x-axis. Algebraically, the point or points at which f of x or y equals 0. So to summarize, graphically, where it crosses the x-axis. Algebraically, where y equals 0. Definition of the y-intercept. Graphically, the point or points where the graph crosses, touches, intersects the y-axis. Algebraically, the point or points at which x equals 0. Summary. Graphically, where it touches x, y-axis, y-axis. Algebraically, where x equals 0. Intercepts should be written as an ordered pair. For this last part, you really just need this. X-intercepts are also called roots, solutions, and zeros. The rest of that is just the y. So roots are usually used with quadratic functions, which we are not in right now. We're in linear functions, but later in the year we'll be in quadratics. Solutions, we talked about that when we were solving. It makes the equation true. Zeros, it makes the equation or f of x equal to 0. When you have finished writing those things down, put your pencil down so I know that you have finished. Yeah. Okay, my number 2 and 3 are wrong, so don't look at mine, look at yours. We're going to start at number 1. And then with these, if it helps, highlight or something, like make this bigger, thicker, something easier to read so you don't count incorrectly your x and y axis, axes. And you're looking for where does the function cross the x and y intercept. So let's start with x. Where does this cross the x axis?
2.
2. So we would write that as an ordered pair, 2, 0. Where does it cross the y axis?
3.
Positive 3?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. So we would write that 0, negative 3. Right. Look at 2 through 6. Are there any others we want to see you go over? Have questions on
6.
6. Sure.
You said don't work on anything?
I said mine 2 and 3 are not the same. So look at yours, don't look at mine. So for number 6, there are multiple x-intercepts. What are they? Can be one of them.
3.
Positive 3, 0. What's another? 0, 0.
The origin?
Just 0, 0. And then one more.
0, 5? Or 5?
5.
5. Okay. And then your y-intercept.
0.
Oh yes, it should be negative 0. But the y-intercept is also at 0, 0. If it goes through the origin, it's the same. Any others we want to see you go over, have questions about in that section? do one problem and then we'll finish that next class. Because I want to show you some decimal stuff before we leave. So on the next page, so those were all finding intercepts on graph. This would be finding it algebraically. So I'm going to find the x-intercept first. F of x is the same as y. So if you want to f of x, so say you read that. So if you want to change that to y, you can.
I don't know. I don't know.
But it just makes so much more sense. Because I don't know what F
Yeah.
The way that this is exactly what I was trying.
I know, we were
Or what I understood was.
We have so much like,
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
I'm gonna
so much.
Only easier
The
than
SAT for you guys doesn't really mean anything because you don't really know anything. Most of it is geometry and algebra you haven't learned yet. So why you guys take it, I don't know. I don't make those decisions. I just sit here.
Why is there an F instead of?
So not this unit. Later we're gonna have a unit just about functions and why we talk about that. They're really the same thing.
So like
F of x means function. Y is just
Y equals
just for
square.
It's really the same. I didn't
It's
even know what it was.
like on the text, it's like F.
So I can't know anything about the test. Don't tell me anything about the test. There was math on the test. Well, that part. I knew that much. Okay. So here, if you get lost, all the steps are on the side. If we're looking for our x-intercept, our y value has to be 0. I'm going to take this and replace it with 0. Then we just solve for x. How would we do that?
Add 8.
F means 1. Add 8. Yes.
And then
There it is.
like 4.
And then do what with the 4?
Divide.
So when we get 2 equals x equals 2, we still have to write it as an ordered pair.
Would you have the 0?
So the 0 is what we put in for y. But always, when we're solving for an x-intercept, your y value is 0, no matter what. Let's do the y-intercept now. Opposite. If I am looking for a y-intercept, my x value needs to be 0. So I'm going to put 0 in for x. I'm looking for a y-intercept. I'm putting 0 in for x. What would y be? -8. So that y-intercept would be 0, -8. With your y-intercepts, you don't have to do this work if this is in y equals mx plus b format, which it is. So you could just look here, that would be your y-intercept, put that as an order pair.
Wait, where did the 4 and the 0 go?
What's 4 times 0?
Yellow. I see.
Alright. Next class we'll do more of these. I want to show you some decimal stuff.
Are you sure?
So on your iPad, open up Decimal really quickly. We don't have that much time, so I need you guys to do this quickly. So there were some slope things that we did not talk about that you could, those can help you do. So if I were to put in 2 order pairs, I'm wrong. So I'm going to put in 2 random order pairs. You can put in whatever you want. So put in whatever 2 order pairs you want in 2 different lines. I hit label to label them. You don't have to. You can. When double checking / you're practicing at home and want to double check yourself, you can use Desmos. when finding the slope between 2 points, you can put in the 2 points and count. If it's easy to count from where it is, great. If you would like it to be a little bit easier, go into the wrench, turn off the minor grid lines, change the step on both of these to 1. So now I see every single number and I can count. So before, you could have done that, but all the numbers weren't there. So if it's easier like this, I'll leave it like this, do that. Anyone need me to do that again?
Yeah, can you
Somebody did it for me.
Right. So put in your 2 ordered pairs, go into the wrench, turn off minor grid lines, unplug it. In the 2 steps, put 1. And then I just click the wrench again to get rid of it. Right. One last slope thing. We'll talk about intercepts next class. So we were converting earlier. Recall what that was. So I'm just going to pick one random one. 2x plus y equals 3. And then I'm going to put in the equation we found, which was y equals negative 2x plus 3. You probably didn't see it. It happens really fast.
If the line is the same.
Yes. So if they overlap, that's how you know you did that right. If they don't overlap, something in there is wrong. You forgot a negative, you didn't divide correctly. So use that to double check yourself. You won't have Desmos on the quiz or the test, but it's good practice at home.
Does it overlap?
If it does not overlap, it's wrong. Alright, so you guys have about 5 minutes left. You can put your calculators back, put your iPads back. For the iPads, look on the back. Listen. On the back of the iPad, look at the numbers. Make sure it goes back to the same number slot.
Definition slide.